Chapter 18. In Deborah's school, in the meantime, affairs had drawn to a climax. The moment had come for the city to say whether her new experiment should be dropped the following year or allowed to go on and develop. There came a day of sharp suspense when Deborah's friends and enemies on the Board of Education sat down to discuss and settle her fate. They were at it for several hours, but late in the afternoon they decided not only to let her go on the next year, but to try her idea in 4 other schools and place her in charge with ample funds. The long strain came to an end at last in a triumph beyond her wildest hopes. When the news arrived, she relaxed, grew limp, and laughed and cried a little, and her father felt her tremble as he held her a moment in his arms. "Now, Baird," he thought, "your chance has come. For God's sake, take it while it's here." But in place of Baird that afternoon came men and women from the press, and friends and fellow workers. The doorbell and the telephone kept ringing almost incessantly. Why couldn't they leave her a moment's peace? Roger buried himself in his study. Later, when he was called to dinner, he found that Alan was there too, but at first the conversation was all upon Deborah's victory. Flushed with success, for the moment engrossed in the wider field she saw ahead, she had not a thought for anything else. But after dinner, the atmosphere changed. "To hear me talk," she told them, "you'd think the whole world depended on me, and on my school, and my ideas. Me. And it has been me all winter long. What a time I've given both of you." She grew repentant and grateful, first to her father and then to Alan, and then more and more to Alan, with her happy eyes on his, and with a keen, worried look at them both, Roger rose and left the room. Baird was leaning forward. He had both her hands in his own. "Well," he asked, "will you marry me now?" Her eyes were looking straight into his. They kept moving slightly, searching his. Her wide, sensitive lips were tightly compressed, but did not quite hide their quivering. When she spoke, her voice was low and a little queer and breathless. "Do you want any children, Alan?" "Yes." "So do I. And with children, what of my work?" "I don't want to stop your work. If you marry me, we'll go right on. You see, I know you, Deborah. I know you've always grown like that, by risking what you've got today for something more tomorrow." "I've never taken a risk like this." "I tell you this time it's no risk, because you're a grown woman, formed. I'm not making a saint of you. You're no angel down among the poor because you feel it's your duty in life. It's your happiness, your passion. You couldn't neglect them if you tried." "But the time," she asked him quickly. "Where shall I find the time for it all?" "A man finds time enough," he answered, "even when he's married." "But I'm not a man, I'm a woman," she said, and in a low voice which thrilled him. "A woman who wants a child of her own." His lean, muscular right hand contracted sharply upon hers. She winced, drew back a little. "Oh, I'm sorry," he whispered. Then he asked her again, "Will you marry me now?" She looked suddenly up. "Let's wait a while, please. It won't be long. I'm in love with you, Alan. I'm sure of that now. And I'm not drawing back. I'm not afraid. Oh, I want you to feel I'm not running away. What I want to do is to face this square. It may be silly and foolish, but, you see, I'm made like that. I want a little longer. I want to think it out by myself." When Alan had gone, she came in to her father, and her radiant expression made him bounce up from his chair. "By George!" he cried. "He asked you?" "Yes." "And you've taken him?" "No." Roger gasped. "Look here," he demanded angrily. "What's the matter? Are you mad?" She threw back her head and laughed at him. "No, I'm not. I'm happy." "What the devil about?" he snapped. "We're going to wait a bit, that's all, till we're sure of everything," she cried. "Then," said Roger disgustedly, "you're smarter than your father is. I'm sure of nothing. I've never been sure in all my days. If I'd waited, you'd never have been born." Oh, dearie, she begged him smilingly, please don't be so unhappy just now. I've a right to be, said Roger. I see my house agog with this, in a turmoil, in a turmoil. But again, he was mistaken. It was in fact astonishing how the old house quieted down. There came again one of those peaceful times when his home, to Roger's senses, seemed to settle deep, grow still, and gather itself together. Day by day he felt more sure that Deborah was succeeding in making her work fit into her swiftly deepening passion for a full, happy woman's life. And why shouldn't they live here, Alan and she? The thought of this dispelled the cloud which hung over the years he saw ahead. How smoothly things were working out. The monstrous new buildings around his house seemed to him to draw back as though balked of their prey. On the mantel in Roger's study, for many years, a bronze figure there, the thinker, huge and naked, forbidding in its crouching pose, the heavy chin on one clenched fist, had brooded down upon him. And in the years that had been so dark, it had been a figure of despair. Often he had looked up from his chair and grimly met its frowning gaze. But Roger seldom looked at it now, and even when it caught his eye, it had little effect upon him. It appeared to brood less darkly, for though he did not think it out, there was this feeling in his mind. There is to be nothing startling in this quiet home of mine, no crashing deep calamity here. Only the steadily deepening love between a grown man and a woman mature, both sensible, strong people with a firm control of their destinies. He felt so sure of this affair, for now her tension once relaxed with the success which had come to her after so many long, hard years. A new Deborah was revealed, more human in her yieldings. She let Alan take her off on the wildest little sprees uptown and out into the country. To Roger she seemed younger, more warm and joyous and more free. He loved to hear her laugh these nights, to catch the glad new tones in her voice. There is to be no tragedy here. So, certain of this union and wistful for all he felt it would bring, Roger watched its swift approach. And when the news came, he was sure he'd been right, because it came so quietly. It's settled, dear. At last it's sure. Alan and I are to be married. She was standing by his chair. Roger reached up and took her hand. I'm glad. You'll be very happy, my child. She bent over and kissed him, and putting his arm around her, he drew her down on the side of his chair. Now tell me all your plans, he said, and her answer brought him a deep peace. We're going abroad for the summer, and then if you'll have us, we want to come here. Roger abruptly shut his eyes. By George, Deborah, he said, you do have a way of getting right into the heart of things. His arm closed about her with new strength, and he felt all his troubles flying away. What a time we'll have! What a rich new life! Her deep, sweet voice was a little unsteady. Listen, dearie, how quiet it is. And for some moments nothing was heard but the sober tick, tick of the clock on the mantel. I wonder what we're going to hear. And they thought of new voices in the house. Chapter 19. Edith was radiant at the news. I do hope they're not going to grudge themselves a good long wedding trip, she exclaimed. They're going abroad, said Roger. Oh, splendid. And the wedding, church or home? Home, said Roger blissfully, and short and simple, not a frill, just the family. Oh, that's so nice, sighed Edith. I was afraid she'd want to drag in her school. School will be out by then, he said. Well, I hope it stays out for the remainder of her days. She can't do both, and she'll soon see. Wait till she has a child of her own. Well, she wants one bad enough. Yes, but can she? Edith asked, with the engrossed expression which came on her pretty, florid face whenever she neared such a topic. She spoke with evident awkwardness. That's the trouble. Is it too late? Deborah's 31, you know, and she has lived her life so hard. The sooner she gives up her school, the better for her chances. The face of her father clouded. Look here, he said uneasily, I wouldn't go talking to her quite along those lines, my dear. I'm not such an idiot, she replied. She thinks me homely enough as it is, and she's not altogether wrong. Bruce and I were talking it over last night. We want to be closer after this, to Deborah and Alan. Bruce says it will do us all good, and for once I think he's right. I have given too much time to my children and Bruce to his office. I see it now. Not that I regret it, but, well, we're going to blossom out. She struck the same note with Deborah, and so did Bruce. Oh, Deborah dear, he said, smiling, when he found a chance to see her alone. If you knew how long I've waited for this big fine thing to happen. A. Baird is my best chum in the world. Don't yank him gently away from us now. We'll keep close, huh? All four of us. Very, said Deborah softly. You mustn't get too solemn, you know. You won't pull too much of the highbrow stuff. Heaven forbid. That's the right idea. We'll have some fine little parties together. You and A. Baird will give us a hand and get us out in the evenings. We need it, God knows. We've been getting old. Deborah threw him a glance of affection. Why, Brucey, she said in admiring tones, I knew you had it in you. So has Edith, he sturdily declared. She only needs a little shove. We'll show you, too, that we're regular fellows. Don't you be all school, and we won't be all home. We'll jump out of our skins and be young again. In pursuance of this gay resolve, Bruce planned frequent parties to theaters and musical shows, and to Edith's consternation, he even began to look about for a teacher from whom he could learn to dance. A. Baird, he told her firmly, isn't going to be the only soubrette in this family. One of the most hilarious of these small celebrations came early in June, when they dined all four together and went to the summer's opening of The Follies of 1914. The show rather dragged a bit at first, but when Bert Williams took the stage, Bruce's laugh became so contagious that people in seats on every hand turned to look at him and join in his glee. Only one thing happened to mar the evening's pleasure. When they came outside the theater, Bruce found in his car something wrong with the engine. He tinkered, but it would not go on. Alan hailed a taxi. Why not come with us? Asked Deborah. No thanks, said Bruce. I've got this car to look after. Oh, let it wait, urged Alan. It does look a little like rain, put in Edith. Bruce glanced up at the cloudy sky and hesitated a moment. Rain, piffle, he said good-humoredly. Come on, wifey, stick by me. It won't be long. And he and Edith went back to his car. What a dear he is, said Deborah. Alan put his arm around her, and they looked at each other and smiled. It was only 9 days to the wedding. Out of the street's commotion came a sharp cry of warning. It was followed by a shriek and a crash. Alan looked out of the window, and then, with a low exclamation, he jumped from the taxi and slammed the door.